I'm talking today about the book Wikinomics, How Mass Collaboration Changes Everything by Dan Tapscott. The central theme to this book is how business models are changing today. With the success of user-generated websites, traditional business practices must be updated. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to go over what an ideagora is, why ideagoras are important, what effects ideagoras are having today, and how ideagoras will change the future. What is an ideagora? Well, an ideagora is a term coined by the author of Wikinomics, Dan Tapscott. It is a portmanteau of idea and agora, which is the Greek word for place. Fundamentally, ideagoras are websites that allow the buying and selling of ideas, kind of like eBay, but for innovation. Why is this new kind of website important? Well, ideagoras are changing the way companies do business. However, this change is something that anyone can be a part of. As companies are beginning to utilize global networks for both the liquidation and acquisition of ideas, any person can engage in this new marketplace. How does it work? An ideagora first started out as a way to liquidate intellectual property. Since then, two different types of ideagoras have come onto the scene. One's offering ideas in search of solutions, and others offering solutions in search of ideas. When did this start? In the mid-90s, Procter & Gamble did a survey of their research and development team and found that they were spending $1.5 billion each year, and only 10% of their ideas were being utilized. Enter Yet2.com. Originally started in 1999, Yet2.com allowed P&G to finally make some money on their intellectual property and license it to anyone who needed a solution. Today, P&G offers more than 27,000 patents for sale. Impacts of sites like Yet2.com. Using the internet, large companies can profit from their unused intellectual property by selling to a global audience. Small niche companies benefit as well, as they can gain access to technology that took millions to develop at a low upfront cost. Ideas in search of solutions. While a company's R&D department can turn out so much intellectual property that they can't use it all, when it comes to a specific solution, sometimes they draw a blank. This is where companies need to draw innovation from outside their walls and solicit the global market for a solution. This is exactly what P&G did when they needed to find a way to print text and pictures on potato chips. When their R&D department failed, they posted on Innocentive.com and found a solution in a little bakery in Italy, where the baker had built an inkjet printer that did what they needed to do for cheap. These are ideagoras' role in the information society today. 1. They're a Web 2.0 business model for physical production. 2. They're augmenting the workforce with digital aid. And 3. They're transitioning the world to a global network society. As companies begin to enlist their consumers for innovation, we see an adaptation of the Web 2.0 ideology beginning to emerge. No longer are consumers limited to their consumer role. Analogous to Facebook or Twitter, where all the content is user-generated, now consumers can engage in the production of physical assets in the marketplace as part of the production process. As companies begin employing the service of ideagoras, they certainly won't throw out their own R&D departments. Rather, they will use the global talent pool to augment their own company. Companies who utilize ideagoras will epitomize the concept of an augmented workforce. And finally, as companies begin to draw their innovation from around the globe, companies begin to exist in a more global sense, and the geographic lines that existed originally begin to blur. Through ideagoras, a more global network society is beginning to develop. How companies are using ideagoras. Swiffer, Crest, Spinbrush, and Olay Regenerist are all just a few of many Procter & Gamble products that were developed from outside the company. That said, however, some companies are hesitant to change the way they do something so integral as research and development. While they may be more inclined to outsource manual labor, intellectual insight is harder to trust from outside the walls of their own companies. Most companies develop 90% or more of their technology within their research and development department. But with 35% of innovation coming from other players, Procter & Gamble is showing the rest of the world how successful these idea marketplaces can be. Why will it work? Ideagoras will succeed for this reason. It's cheap for companies to augment their workforce with them, and as long as the websites maintain the low risk associated with participating in an ideagora, eventually we will see a full transition in the way companies do business.